Okay, when you're going to change the wire in the Callahan unit, the first thing you're going to do is make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. You will remove the fuser from the back of your HP printer, and you'll start with removing the 2 screws that are located on the left and right tabs. There's 2 small screws in there, so we'll remove those first. Sometimes it can be really hard to get out, so you just gotta keep trying. Once we remove the 2 screws, that's going to leave this open and loose. The next thing we're going to do is there's a gear. It's on the right tab side. This gear has to be removed before we remove the black casing. So we'll go ahead and remove the flat. Take a flathead screwdriver and remove that. And then the gear will just slide off. Once that's removed, that will allow this to come off without breaking it. There is a tab that is located in the back here that kind of holds the plastic on. When we take it off, we'll just try to simply pull it. So we'll take that flathead screwdriver, try to remove that flap if we can, as we're pulling down. And then it should pop just right off. Pay attention to your right and left thumb taps, because when you put the cover back on, you want to make sure that they stay the same. The right is towards the gear that you took off. With your pin here, if you ever have to take this out, your pin here will have to be connected into this little black area here when you're closing it. Now you'll simply take, there is a connector right here, and that is the most important connector because that's going to be on your fuser. You're going to remove this little connector, and then this connector, I'm going to supply you with a cable that looks like this, but has an end that's going to adapt to this cable. And then when you get that end put on that cable, you're just going to go ahead and plug it back in. And I use a flathead just to make sure that it's tight. Just like that. Now what you've done is you've taken the regular fuser cable, you've connected it with the Callahan fuser, and when you plug it in, now it's ready to run for your new device. So now we would just put everything back together. So we would start with putting the plastic back on. When you do that, you want to make sure that you have the bottom lined up and these tabs are in the hole. So that bottom piece, I would snap that on first. Make sure that these blue connectors are seated where they need to be. Then there is 2 little silver pieces in here. You just want to make sure that you just push down and slide up to get it into position. Once that's done, you can go ahead, you'll have the 2 holes should line up if they're right. So you'll see that the hole is lined up. You take the screw and then put it back in. On both sides. Make sure you get those nice and tightened so that way that they stay together and don't come apart during the paper going through it. Once that part is on, I would just press the tabs to make sure that they have that tightness that they're supposed to have. And if that's done and it's seated here, and you have no huge gap here or here, you know that you've installed it correctly. There should be just a fine gap between here. If it's larger than that, you know it also has not been put on properly. Then you go ahead and put your bearing back on, or your gear. It does have a D flat shape on it, so make sure that you line it up and it should slide right on. And then you'll go ahead and put the silver E-clip on it. You can line it up with your hands and then use a flathead screwdriver to push it into place. And sometimes this might take more than once, like that. And that is how you do it. So once you're done installing the Callahan wire, you simply take your fuser, make sure your tabs are facing down, line it up to the printer that you have. Once it's in there, pop it into place. It should snap. The Callahan wire will stick out to be attached to your attachment.